Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome back to Nova Aetas Renaissance. This is part 2 where we are going to go over the basic rules, what the game is, how it's kind of played, look through the kind of like prologue tutorial menus. So first of all, spoilers. There's going to be spoilers for the prologue mission, which is the very first mission of the game. So if you don't want those, sorry, skip this video, jump to the next one. If you didn't watch part 1, we just kind of went through all the contents, but it was getting a little bit long. I decided not to do a hour-long video on just this, so I decided to split it up into two things. Then come back for the later parts. We're going to go through all the heroes, all the different enemies, all the stretch goal stuff, all that crossover stuff, really cool things. So yeah, well, to start off, I just want to go ahead and look at the tutorial book. So it says, read me first. So this is going to basically explain what the game is. It says, during the game, you'll be immersed in the Renaissance Italy and a genius and artist of the caliber of Leonardo da Vinci, Giovanni de Medici, Machiavellian, and many others. Machiavelli? Add extra letters in there. The story will live on is based on real historic facts and rich fantasy elements. This guide will take you through missions united from the main campaign, untied from the main campaign, which will help you to understand the flow of the game and actions available during the game. By using this guide, you will deal with most of the game situations. However, in order to play the campaign, you'll need to keep the rulebook handy. During the tutorial game, you'll learn the rules while playing. After that, you should have some questions. You can use the rulebook as a reference. There's also this, if you want to go there, is download extra stuff as well. Yeah, so how to use this guidebook. So this is very interesting. Guidebook features represents mission cards of the game, usually kept in numbered envelopes. These will take you through specific steps. These rules always have priority over the written in the rulebook. Mission cards come in various types, featured show places to interact with or contain profiles of specific enemies. Mission cards will direct you to specific paragraphs from the plot book. For this mission, they are printed on these pages, containing more information on the narrative context. You'll be able to perform special actions, find items. Names in bold red in this guidebook indicate topics that are further explained in the rulebook. The golden rule is complex, not complicated game. As such, you should come up with unclear situations, not directly directed by the rules. I always try to make a move that benefits the enemies. It's usually like the most games do, is take what's going to be the worst option. So if you have a thing that comes up and an enemy can target two different characters, and you check and it says, oh, which do you check? You check this thing, same. Check this thing, same. Okay, so at that point, you've checked all this stuff and you don't know who to choose. Either you could roll a die or flip a coin, or pick whoever's going to be most detrimental to you, or the enemies would probably take out first. Oh, one's the healer, one's your ranged character, right? Probably going to want to take out the healer first. Or this one has less HP, this one doesn't, type of thing. The handbook, which we have a little tiny handbook here, which is really nice, is a good way of recalling game concepts or meaning icons. This will have all the different icons in there. So if we kind of just look at that really quick again. Yeah, so it's going to be if you need to know what a specific skill or word does, like fly or fate or charge. Here's some of the traits on characters, whether curse, devastating, distract, what some of that stuff means. Specifying categories, encumbrings, types of attacks, explaining what some of the attack symbols mean on the cards, which is always nice, how the different negative stats of tokens work, positive stats of tokens, what different symbols on cards mean, things like that. So this is just a nice little quick guide to just have around in case you forget that without having to look through everything. Plus, it has the flow chart for enemy AI. So this is what we were just talking about. We didn't know what to do. So it's going to say, oh, they're going to here. What do they have to do? Are they supposed to attack the heroes? Or are they supposed to check for an area? If they're supposed to attack the heroes, they're going to go do this. If they're not supposed to attack the heroes, then they check this and they do that. And it's going to lead to different things until eventually they finish their turn. Then just what all the symbols are. So, a nice little extra handy book to keep sitting around. Mission cards. In the tutorial, you'll find them printed in this booklet. For the campaign missions, are stored within the envelope. So this one's going to kind of have them printed in here, just so that way you're not having to spoil the actual story. So I did say we will spoil prologue. The first thing is we'll kind of show that off a bit, but this will give us an idea. So for hero setup, we're going to have each hero is going to have 2 sheets, 2 skill sheets, and 9 equipment. So they have basic equipment cards, which go with their main hero, which is say on the back of the card. It'll tell you exactly who they go with. They'll have a basic skill sheet, and then they'll have their standard class, and they have 2 upgraded classes. So it says, during this first mission, you'll have access to skills which will be lost at the end of the scenario before the beginning of the campaign. This way, you'll learn how they work. Insert a hero cube in the spaces dedicated to the following skills. For this particular character, which I didn't grab, has Hawk Strike for Valerio, Take Aim for Sophia, Astrology for Vincio, and Focus for Rebecca, because you use all 4 characters. So then what we'll get is we'll take a quick look at what those guys look like as a board here. So we kind of pointed this out last time. I didn't finish popping all these out yet. So yeah, we have Sophia and her basic cards on the back you'll be playing. If there's the alternate one, which is her Rogue or Slayer, it'll be 1 on each side. And I didn't grab them because we won't be upgrading to them. But you can slide those into here. And that wants you to go ahead and select one of their abilities. So for her, it was Take Aim. So you put a little cube on her purple Take Aim, and that way you know she has that ability unlocked. As you play the game, you're going to unlock more different characteristics. To unlock these skills, the requirements, says which ones you have to have. So 2 red, a blue, purple, and 2 green. So you have to have both green, both red, and a blue in there as well. And then the purple. I'm sorry, you have to have 3, this is what they're going to end up gaining. So they'll have 2 red and blue, so they'll lose a purple and gain an extra blue in there for that one. We're not worried about what those abilities are right now, but, once you have 3 things, then you can actually, and you have a certain extra thing, you can then upgrade to them. So you have to level up a couple of times. But yeah, very cool. And then on here, this will explain, this should be her basic skill card. This will explain her special ability, which we'll get into, as well as what all the different stuff does. So if we want to know what Take Aim does, it'll tell us what it does right there. Alright. Then, gather all our components. This is just basic setup for the game. So each hero will have a Perlium token, which keeps track of your threat meter. 2 hero cubes, place them on the heroic track points. Like charging these skills, they'll unlock their heroic skills. So that was that middle counter we had. So like right below her name with the little star there. Take the 4 miniatures, place all the dice within each race, dividing tokens into 4 groups. Positive, negative, wounds, and everything else. Place the injury cards and reagents within easy reach. And then assign the hologram, the model activation, to the players who will manage it for the duration of the mission. So kind of just off to the side. And then you'll have the big clock there. So yeah, very simple for that. So now read card 0 below, and its initial mission always has a dark back. So that's that one. So if we look at our prologue here, so we have prologue has card 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1, and then it has a starting one here. It's going to show some different symbols on the back, which will tell us how to set up the game. So if we look at that here quick, it's going to say take tile 1A, 2 trees, 1 bush, a house of 3x3 space, the focus point of orange, 1 gunslinger, 1 Stradot, and 1 event token. Then your heroes are in stars, gunslinger is the red one, and Stradot is the blue one. Then it says read read in the plot book 01-1. So it's just saying, go ahead, Talos. For the current mission, one of the enemy cards of the gunslinger will be taken from the enemy deck, and the special mission will be used for the ringleader, represented by the Stradot card. To avoid spoiling surprise, you'll be able to take additional components in the middle of some missions. The card does not list tokens, dice, game components of each player's skill sheet, since these are components based on various skill development. So it's not going to tell you, like, oh, if you're playing this character, have these things with you, or this, because you might be at different levels, you might be different things there. Then it's going to do is have you grab, like, their enemy cards. So, like, for the Stradot, we'll have his enemy card out, so we know what all his different skills and stats are. In the lower part of the card, you'll be told which paragraph to read or which one. So it says, now read this one. So now it's going to have it here. Normally, you'd hop into the plot book and read that. So Says you have been hired by a rich Roman merchant. It would seem a small group of bandits have stolen a valuable item from his carriage along the road to Rijeka. He tells you that it'd be a handsome reward for the retrieval of his family heirloom. The locket means everything to me. Reveal card 1, now from now on called mission card, will be represented by the symbol with the card's number in there. As with the cards, will pop up periodically to new paragraphs to read or reveal. Now read the next card. So card number 1 usually shows how to prepare the mission, where to place the board, scenic elements, heroes, and stuff like that. Alright, so if we jump into that, it's going to show this right here is a map. Shows how to set this map up. So it wants us to put a tile 1A and tile 5B on the board, starting at 515 on the horogram Aries. Heroes all start in Aries. The Taurus is where the gunslinger starts. Leo starts in Stragot, and Scorpio is the token event. And that says read to. So it's going to tell us how to set everything up. So it's showing on here, all your heroes are going to start in here. So the clock starts at 5:15. Your heroes start here, and then each character starts there, and the scenic token or the event token starts over there. So then as the game goes along, this counter will move across the board, and then as it hits each person, that's when they get to activate. So you can see this guy, our heroes get to go first, then this guy that's eventually going to trigger that event at some point. When the hand reaches the Roman numeral, it activates the corresponding sector. Volume numbers. For example, if the 7 activates the Capricorn sector, the number 3 activates the Aries sector. So it's whenever it hits it, it activates the next area beyond it. It's not when it passes it. Then it says read section 2. The bandits track the area the merchant pinpoint you are in quite clear. They didn't cover their passage. Reveal card 2, then continue reading, and then reveal card 3. When you see this kind of instruction, normally reveal a card showing the profile of an enemy or one listed used for rules. And the mission 2 shows the ringleader statistics, which differ from those on the standard card. So this is going to show the ringleader instead of Stragot. So like you can see, he has a little bit different stats on there. It's going to use the same miniature as him, but we're going to have a different card for him. I don't think we have any in the prologue set, but we do have a bunch in there. So lots of times there will be miniatures that are your regular enemies will be representing a specific character, and they'll show them off. And it could be an enemy you're fighting, could be an ally that's helping you out. Those particular enemies will standard cards are used for most missions. So there's an enemy card you can see. A little bit different. You need to look to see more about how those go. Then card 3 says, in this instance, card 3 contains specific rules for the mission. List an objective of heroes, enemies to defeat, and conditioning of heroes. So heroes retrieve the merchant lock before time runs out. Enemies goal attack the heroes. Heroes defeat condition. If 3 heroes are KO'd, read section 1.0-7. If heroes did not retrieve the locket by 8, which is the event, then read that instead. So basically either one or a loss. Special events. When the minute hand reaches the Scorpio sector, discard the event token and read 1.0-3. Missions action. Spend 2 time only if a hero is adjacent to or on the red focus point square. There are no other enemies on the battlefield. Read 4. So that's some different options there. The mission begins. It's time. Getting to action, first of all, I must determine which model will activate. And what I'll be able to do is, you said the minute hand activates the following sectors. The Roman numeral, in this case Aries. While the sector contains active tokens, the minute hand does not move. When there are no more activation tokens, the minute hand will move until it reaches a sector that contains the next token. So, model swiftness indicates who gets to go. Since all 5 of our characters have the exact same swiftness, players move freely, they gotta decide who gets to act. So it's kind of fun too. It's not always gonna be player A, player B. You gotta determine, not just based on the board, and sometimes you might have to strategize with your teammates, like who wants to take which action first, but who might take a smaller action versus a larger action, just so they can activate a second time. If the tie is between 2 enemies, which order they activate seems more beneficial. If the tie between heroes and enemies, enemies always go first. So here we'll have a setup for our map on there, so you can see how we start off. All 4 heroes started here. We have our trees, a little bush, event token, a little house, and our 2 miniatures that started over there. So this is just going through explaining how each character moves. and does stuff. So it's like saying, if we start Sophia, can enemy at a distance, they throw knife throwing skill, she'll aim at the gunslinger. She spends 5 action points, equal to her swiftness, and thus 5. These points can be spent during her action for various action phases. Move her token that number of spaces on the sector. So I'm not going to go through and read every single little bit part of this, because we'll be at this reading forever. But so the idea here is that, first of all, she has to move 2 spaces, right? 1, 2 to get over here, and then she's going to attack. So for her moving here, she moves her token 1, 2 spaces. So that puts her there. And then if she wants to attack, it's going to cost her another 3. So before rolling dice, moves her activation 3, the cost to use her weapon. So we don't. So her weapon's on here. So her weapon has a little 3 timer by it. So it costs her 3 to do that. So 1, 2, 3. So that means her next time she activates won't be until after both of these other guys activate. She's got to keep that in mind as well. Normally, defeating enemies can provide loot and region cards to grow in the lumen. Target enemy can ignore this rule, but you'll eventually gain stuff from them. So it's showing like on the bottom of our cards, if we defeat them, the very bottom down here, it's going to show the stuff we earn for defeating them, which helps us upgrade our equipment, buy new stuff. So then we have to do an attack. So basically then she's going to try to attack, and she's going to gain some Perillium. She does lose 2 damage, therefore her threat level went up, and she got some crits. So the Perillium is going to be like, enemies will target. And then here it's just going to kind of show like, now he's going to move way up here. He's not going to be able to attack because it cost him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 each. All 5 of his points that he had. And now it's Advancio's turn. He can move 2 spaces, moves over there, and instead uses a skill to like spend another 2 to help one of his teammates by giving them extra abilities, a prayer token, and it's Rebecca's turn to activate. So then she moves 1 and attacks. And one person uses a physical, one uses magic. They have different dice rolling. We'll look over that in just a minute. Yeah, this kind of goes through and explains on how all this stuff works. It goes through, explains how the attacking for the enemies work, all that. And then it says, so after that, says after each enemy went through, then it's just kind of like here, it's just, okay, just keep playing through the rest of it. It's going to tell you to read that if you got to that far. Fighting another enemy, and there's a bunch of the other stuff that pops up. So yeah, I'm not going to go over every single part of that, but that's basically what that does. It explains how all that works. So then if we actually jump into the rule book, we can look at the rules a little bit closer on some of the characters. Game objective missions will tell you all to do. So the mission cards are where basically going to explain what to do. So once you know how to play the game, you might not have to reference this as much. It's going to show off all our different components in there. But yeah, this is going to explain how all the different cards and stuff work, how movement, all that works. Rolling dice. I do want to get to attacking. So we do have here, so I'm going to look at physical attacks for our characters. And then psychic attacks. So either a red circle or a blue diamond are going to determine how you're attacking your cards. So the first number on there, A, is going to be the time, how much it costs to spend to do your specific attack. Then there's like which model target be within the range. So the B is going to be the target you're actually getting to target. Are you targeting a specific character, or are you targeting an area? Let's see if they have this on here. Yeah, so we have 4 attacks. Range hits, so target shows a little icon there, and then opposing or a friendly or a miscellaneous. So it might say which one you're targeting. So you're targeting a specific character. There might be a thing like you target an area. You might be able to target a friendly character if it's like a healing skill, and stuff like that. The distance, so it's like, so physical attacks go 1 space away. Magic can go up to 6 spaces away, depending on it. And then they have D there, which is the little hand, or this one actually has a little mind. So the circle and diamond again. Characteristics used for the attack test is determined by the last icon in the attack profile. The bonus or penalty can be applied. For physical attacks, character may use the physical or dexterity. They perform a hand or eye test based on the number. So on your stats here, they're going to have either an eye or a hand. And then whichever one they have is going to depend on how many dice they get to roll. So for her doing a dexterity or physical, she has to roll 3 dice. If she's somehow doing a psychic attack, she'd only get 1 die. And then you roll dice trying to equal the number you need to be. They perform the attack by rolling number of dice equal to the value listed on their character, modified by penalties and statuses and stuff like that. They apply generic skill, respective hills, positive, negative tokens, attack traits. They apply the test, gain success for each die if the result equal to or greater than the threshold, which is equal to the physical defense of the target. So if she was rolling 3 dice and she needed to do damage to Shagat, who has a physical defense of 6, she would need to roll a 6 for each time she wanted to succeed. For each success, they inflict 1 damage to the target. The attack is at least 1 damage is considered successfully performed, and then you can apply any extra traits on there that have the little lightning bolt symbol. So for like that one, she does tackle, or whoever's doing this. Magic or psychic attacks work a little bit differently. They are generally ranged. Instead, you roll using your mind characteristic, equal number of dice. Let me precise stuff. But the difference here is they apply a test result gaining a success for each die with a result equal to or greater than a success threshold, which is equal to the psychic defense of the target. They obtain a number of success equal to the indicated target is considered a success. So when you're doing a physical attack, if you roll 3 dice and 2 are successful and the third one misses, you do 2 damage. If you're doing a mental attack and you roll 3 dice and you needed to hit 3 in your opponent, like for example, he has 5 defense. So if I was rolling this one up here, and let's say I had to roll 3 dice, I would have to get 2 successes to be able to complete this. I have to roll at least 2 5s. If I rolled 1 5, the entire attack would fail. If I rolled 3 5s, then it succeeds. 2 or 3 would succeed. So it's a little bit. So the magic ones there, a little bit, or psychic attacks are not necessarily more powerful, but they require you to like hit with everything or hit nothing. They're a little bit more in between. But yeah, so you would kind of see just in comparison there, right? So the range is the same, the plus minus is the same, but if you get the crit on here, so I switch 2 damage, inflict 1 for each moon you get, so you can potentially do even more damage. If they attain number of successes, all affected get the effect as well. So they get to do 2 damage for that, plus 1 for each moon, where this one could potentially, if you're rolling 3 dice, could do 3 damage plus whatever tackle does. So yeah, and then the enemies have a very similar thing on there. So if we look at an enemy card, so these will be on like item cards. If we look at an enemy card, he's done the same thing. He has a timer, costs him 3 to move. He can attack 1 space away. Now they just straight up do damage. They do 4 damage and they roll and they have the 5 dice. So if we find the enemies attacking here, that's enemy activation. We want enemy attack. Alright, so the enemy attacks will have physical or psychic attacks as well. Very similar ideas for them. Since a determined attack performed by the enemy usually have only 1 attack, but some have 2. Check whether attack is which one performed by enemies includes the target, because an enemy model will always target heroes, so it's not going to ever have you select who else it's going to target. So for A, number they spent, B is our range, C, the applied effect of all attack. The enemy deals a number of hits equal to target of D, so like this one will do 1 damage no matter what. A hero performs a defense test on the thing, usually physical, with a success threshold equal to 1 indicated. After each dice's roll, apply the following effects. So for here, they're going to roll a physical defense of 8. And then for every 8 plus they get a blocking attack. So each hit not canceled inflicts 1 damage to the target. If the attack is inflicted 1 damage which has been placed on the equipment card, it is considered successful if the enemy applies the effects of its symbol. So if that's armor or something. Each success obtained by the hero cancels 1 or more hit. So she's going to roll multiple dice to try and stop her from taking damage. Psychic are kind of the same way. They have to defend you. The number of successes obtained on the defense dice is equal or greater than the number of the attack. That does not produce any effect. So kind of like where you have to hit all or nothing, you have to get 2 successes of 5 or plus to stop this attack from happening. This also has C, which is a cross area. So it's actually going to hit in an area instead of just a specific one character. So this is going to hit a cross on the map, which I think we have pictures of. So like this one here will hit, it'll target that person in the middle and they'll hit them other 4 spaces around them. So sometimes they will actually do extra damage as well. That's basically how the enemies go. Then there's some other stuff like drafting enemies during the game. So some cards might tell you to like draft certain enemies. So it might say, look, take 1 of this faction, of this rank, excluding the witch. Or it might say 1 mile for each square, ignore the horde skill. So it's going to give you the option. Sometimes it'll tell you like a tutorial specifically put these 2 characters down. Other times it'll be like, this is the main character we're fighting against, but then randomly select all the other characters. And that's just kind of neat. So you're not always facing the exact same characters, even if you play the same mission over and over. And that's kind of what the draft cards are going to be showing. They're different cards, so you know which one you're looking for. We have formula cards, so these are just for crafting your different items. So when you're in the shops, if you have these different things, you can basically buy new equipment or create new equipment. There's a lot of extra stuff in this game. There's no way I can possibly go through every single little bit without spending, 3 hours going through every tutorial. I'm just trying to give you the general idea of everything. We have the Destiny cards, so it says, as you complete certain objectives, so like if you inflict at least 10 damage by the end of the mission, during the rest phase, read this step, and that'll tell you how to get his extra card. It says, also, here's kind of a neat thing. To avoid spoilers, paragraphs referenced to the Destiny book are scattered among the missions. Therefore, if you need to read paragraph 1.914, you have to look at paragraph 14 of mission 1.9. So it's not just like you flip to the end of the book and here's all their Destiny cards. They're going to be scattered throughout the book in the missions. Because that way, if you sit in there, if you try and read through a mission in the plot book, I'm just going to open up like to the page 1 here. We're not going to get too far in it, so I don't want to spoil things too much. But like, if I'm reading here, if I read 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row, a 5, it's not going to necessarily make sense because it's not... Me activating card 1 isn't going to then do part 1, then part 2, then point 3. It might go part 5, then jump back to part 6, then jump to part number 10. And there might be some in there that are actually linked to like the destinies or the plots or something, from a different thing. So it's kind of have to hop around a bit, which is kind of a neat idea as well. There's various achievement cards you can get during the game, which represent accomplishments, stats, or items, which may be used in subsequent missions. Attacking, using skills. Another cool thing is you can also wait. You can spend any number of points just to not move if you decide not to. Like, I only want to pay 1, and then I did an activate right away, since you have to do something each turn. We have, like, priorities and symbols, stuff like that. The battlefield, so have some of them 3D elements on there, which we haven't seen too much. We kind of looked at some of that stuff. I'm just trying to look for some of these things. We have prey cards. These are special mini bosses we might have to fight. And they have their special hunt decks. You do a side mission, you're going to fight them. They're going to have their own special admission cards, their own special map to play on, and what you have to do to defeat them. Then they have a specific deck they go through. So instead of like the regular game where it's, this guy has to check this attack and do this, they have a card that says do this, and then the next attack do this, and then the next time do this. So they have a set deck they're going to go through, but it makes them better than just saying, hey, they're just going to do a basic attack. You'll have several cards that let them switch up what they're doing every turn. And that lets you gain extra rewards and special treasuries. We have injury cards, which can persist between the campaigns, so you might take extra damage. We have line of sight stuff. This is also a fun mechanic of the game. Because it is a tactical game, there are rooftops, so like you can't see a guy that's back here if you're on the street, because he's farther on the roof. But you can see guys that are hanging out on the edges. Like here, you can't see through a tree, obviously, or there's no zone there. There's no things you can't see through there either. Yeah. I'm not sure why it's saying this person can't see them. Anywho, I'm not going to get too much into it. We have our missions. On the back side, we have some of these that are going to show up. So we have, on the back, we have card mission, setup tips. So for C, it says, useful during a set phase to equip skills and equipment optimized for this mission. So it might have certain things you might need or want to have if you want to switch up your characters. Then we have the list of components and the keys. So these two cards, and then usually the map are generally the 3 cards that are in every single game. There are special location cards, that have interaction, special mission cards, profile cards, things like that as well. Kind of go over the hologram a bit. We have various different scenic elements that will be on the board. We have buildings of different sizes. All have different effects or interactions, all that cool stuff. They have side missions you can take throughout the game, which we mentioned. The hunt were some. There are some other ones that get added. So basically, in between going from like mission A to mission B or mission 1 to 2, you can activate a side mission. 3 types are hunt, encounter, and exploration. Only hunt is presented in the core game. Encounter and exploration missions are in expansions, so they give you just extra things to do. I think somewhere in the technically in the my brain's not working right now. They're in the stretch goal stuff. We have like a water board as well. So some of these things have some water tiles, which I love that they stop you from burning, which is a fun little extra effect. And that's kind of explaining the campaign here. So following through on the campaign, you can make a photocopy of the sheep or go to the thing and print them off. Take the mission, begin it. So you're going to just go through and track all your stuff as you go through. And then playing a mission, just kind of a brief idea on this. For mission, in previous mentioning, 4 phases must perform a specific order. Travel phase, setup phase, mission phase, and rest phase. Once you perform all these phases in a single mission, move on to the next one. If you're playing for the first time, we recommend you tackle the tutorial first. We will learn the basic campaign. Start with the prologue. During the travel phase, this phase, heroes will move from place to place where they'll undertake missions as noted on a corresponding slot of the campaign sheet. Warning, some missions will indicate skipping this step. To perform travel phase in the following orders. Take all available event cards, shuffle them, and form an event deck. Open the map of Italy. Consult the campaign sheet looking for a town or village where the last mission took place. Town or village where the mission will be played. To be played will take place. Each row in between the town and village is showing a number of event cards and must be drawn without revealing them. If you have to go through multiple routes, your destination have all the number of listed cards to draw the corresponding event. If you have more than one route, you get your destination. Choose which one of the results and draw in the fewer event cards. Once you have drawn all the events, reveal one of them, or you allow applying the instructions. So, yeah, so if like our first place starts in Orvieto and we're going to Greccio, like right, we're gonna go from one to the other. It's gonna show we have multiple different events to do. So we have 3 that we have to draw. And they're just going to add different stuff in there that's going to happen in between that. Take your setup phase. Before undertaking a mission, prepare the following. Take your hero's components, place them in front of you. It's just basically general setup. Get your equipment cards, place your cubes where they're supposed to be. And the thing is, actually, you can track them on your campaign sheet. So if you play a game now and you play a game next week, you don't have to keep the board sitting out. You can jump to your campaign sheet, wherever that is, right here, and you can be like, oh, this person has this skill, they have this many destiny, they have upgraded these things, right? They've gained this much experience. They've spent that. What regiments we need to pull out. So yeah, you need to necessarily then have everything just sitting around. And it says basically all your basic setup for all that. Then the mission setup. Select the following mission. Prepare the mission. Take the envelope. Get all that stuff. Consult the hints. Consult the symbol on the back of the first mission card with one with the black back. The symbols are useful for choosing skills and equipments best to tackle the mission. So it might show what enemies factions might be in there. They'll feature a water tile, mud tile, urban setting, in a rural setting, features buildings, or features stealth. Equipping skills. Heroes use the skill cubes to equip maximum 5 skills representing their things. So you can kind of swap around your stuff in between each match. Which is really fun. So you can kind of like, oh, what do we need? Are we fighting in town where there's a lot of buildings? Are we fighting in the woods where it might be a little bit more spacey? Maybe I want to take something a little bit different. Select the equipment cards used during the mission by choosing those noted on each hero's inventory and personal equipment. So then you set up your game each time. And then we just do the mission phase. We actually play through the entire mission, do all that stuff, and then we have the rest phase. In this phase, heroes recover from their fatigues, heal their wounds, train and acquire new equipment by spending regions and florins, which is your money, or in some missions indicate skipping this step, because it might be you're in a rush, you have to get from one thing to the next, or it takes place in the same town. To perform the rest phase, each hero to resolve their destiny card may spend 2 points to change their basic class to one of the advanced classes. Any hero, non-companion, can spend experience points to purchase new skills of their class. Based on the ending of the last mission and using the Italy map to the heroes are in a town or a village indicated by one of those two symbols. Take the map of Italy, turn it to the side of the rest board, following shops. Decide mutual agreement which shops to visit. Each hero companion can visit a single shop by placing their model on it. All shops have a capacity that may be different from the rest space if conducted in a town or a village. So it's going to have different... So, like, if I'm in a village, I can only have one person at the church, and if I'm in a town, I can have 3 people there. In the order preferred by players, heroes use the effects in the shop and the effects in the service, while heroes finish the effects there and the rest phase. So yeah, we have like 7 or 8 different things we can go to, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it looks like 8 different things we can go to, but you can only go to one. So if you want to go to a shop, you're going to a shop. If you need to heal, you need to heal. So if you need to go heal, you might not be able to buy anything. And this is requiring your advanced classes. You can eventually level up your stuff. Each basic class advances to 1 to 2 advanced skills. So if they learn at least 3 skills of their basic classes, resolve their destiny card. 2, the hero wants to take the important step where the hero must choose the following. Choose one of the 2 advanced classes, spend stuff, then replace all your things. But you don't have to do that. Or at least not right away. Unlike regular skills, once the advanced classes acquire hero skills, the basic class can no longer be used, as it is replaced by that of the chosen adventure class. It may be convenient to keep the 2 skill sheets overlapping, so the hero skills section on the advanced board covers the hero skills of the basic class. See below. Yes, you can't use your special ability anymore. So, like, she has Deadly Fan, so once I upgrade her, she can't use Deadly Fan anymore. But she still has access to all these, plus whatever her other ability is. We can acquire new skills by spending stuff. We can craft equipment by spending florins and ending the mission. So yeah, a lot of stuff in here. Very cool. So I have one other thing I want to point out before we end this video. Alright, so last thing I kind of wanted to show off for explaining how the game is played is this is the Ashes magazine, which is a kind of like little informational magazine created by Lewis Mag Studios, the company that makes the game. We're going to talk about their new games and stuff. This is issue number 6. So if you're willing to pick this up, it actually has a really cool thing in it. So we go about halfway into it. We have a little prologue in here. So this is talking about their game when it was first coming out. Says you can download and print off all the materials if you would like. So you could go ahead and print off some of this stuff if it's still available. and do this as a sampling game if you'd like. Otherwise, even if you don't, you purchase the game and you like this is an alternate tutorial. And because you already have the game, then you have all this stuff printed off. You have the physical copies of it. But what this does is it sets you up the game. And it's kind of a neat way to, like, maybe teach you how to play the game. If you even, like, by yourself, you want to learn how the mechanics work before you bring your group over to play. Or if you want to just sit down as a group and play this, and it does an interesting walkthrough. Now, the original prologue in the book does do a great job of kind of going through, hey, you're going to maybe do this, you're going to do this. But then it gets to about, like, after everyone's taken their first turn, and it's sort of just like, do your own thing. You know, whatever, see what happens. But it also has lots of stuff in there where it's like, roll the dice. Did you do damage? Do this thing. Did you not do damage? Do this. So if we go ahead and take a quick look back at that, I believe... yeah, because it has stuff like... you know, regardless of how much damage he does, let's go to his action. He's going to do this thing. And then we flip into here. And it's going to say stuff like, if the attack was successful, he takes this amount of damage. If she did this, do this. At this point. So it's walking you through on how to play the game, but it's still having you roll all the dice and do all this stuff. So we get something like this where... At this point, find us in one of 4 situations, depending on which of the 2 people attacked. If she did damage, if she did only damage, if they both did damage, or if nobody did damage. Then this is how you proceed to the game. And that's going to have you just kind of like play it off on your own type of idea. What this book here does with this tutorial is it actually walks you through on how to play everything step by step, which I thought was a really fun read. I had this before I actually had the game, so I was learning how to play the game before I owned it while I was waiting for it to ship, actually. It says take these regiments. It says take Prologue 001 with a mission card deck. Now, I want to note, this prologue that they mention here is different than this prologue here from the actual game. It is a separate prologue, so you won't be able to use it. So you have to go download that if you want to play with that. Because it sets up the mission differently. I believe, yeah. Oh, no, it sets it up basically the same. Never mind, it might be the exact same mission. I was thinking it was something else. Yeah, it's going to set this up that way. So you can just play it with the prologue. But yeah, so this is kind of neat. So it sets you up here. Instead of the other one where you have guys up there to attack, your goal here is to get up and trigger this switch. It's a basic match, or beginning of the first thing. But what it does that I think is really fun is while you're playing through, it's going to tell you how to do all this stuff. It's going to show your mission card, explain all that. It's going to tell you what to do specifically. So it's like, for Valorio's action, do this, place a shield, do all this stuff. And then we get to each other person's action. So, like, if it's telling us to play Sophia's action, she's going to throw her knives, which is a ranged melee attack, which is kind of fun. Spends 1 to do that. And it says throw knives. It says testing player has certain... They're going to tell you how to roll your dice. There are 2 types of attacks. It explains how all the attacks and defense work. But this is what I thought was neat about how explaining how this works for that. It says, how did your first test go? It says, ignore the results of the first dice roll and rearrange them as follows. So it wants you still to roll the dice, treat it like you were playing it, but it's going to tell you, take these specific results. Instead of the regular tutorial in the game where it says, roll the dice, see what happens. This is actually telling you, if you get these outcomes, this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to do this thing. And then it's going to tell you to do that for the next character. So like then if we do for... Rebecca, she's going to go, then it says change these guys to these numbers, and now do this attack. And it's going to keep walking you through each player to do like that, how each character is going to go, like how you're going to fight as Valerio, go through, and there's a Harley Quinn, Harley-busters, thing, so you can explain how his abilities work as a character, has a little extra reload and stuff. It's going to walk you through exactly what he's going to do. Then again, your activation, select these tokens. I thought it's a great way. It's telling you exactly what to do. It's not giving you any freedom on how to do this entire mission. But I think it's maybe a great way for You to learn how everything should activate. Like, what if I succeed? What if I fail? I can read exactly if it's saying, I roll these, I know I won because I got this, this, and this, and I got this dice. But they're like, okay, so that's kind of stifling. So it goes through each player's multiple turns, and it says now we're getting to step 3 for some of the characters. Then it starts doing this, which I thought is, again, really fun. So we have for Sophia's activation. See the Harka Bruiser is easy prey with their throwing knives, which you should have figured out by now. So it says, now it's going to ask you these questions. Now instead of just telling you what to do, it's asking you, how many does she spend? 3. Which sector does she move? This. So this will also be a great way if you're trying to teach someone else the game. Hey, we're playing through this. Now, hey, here's the first round. First action or two, you're going to specifically choose these guys. Now you see how it works, right? Again, even for teaching yourself for the first time, it's not a bad idea. Rather than having it be randomized, right? You're telling them, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. That's how it works. But then as someone may be teaching, you could be reading these off. Who can she target? Some of them spaces. How many tests does it take? She has to roll dice. What is the score? Equal to 5. And then adjust the dice to these. Okay, so now if we got these, you can tell someone, hey, now that we got these, what happens? So again, it kind of walks you through all this stuff, which I think is a really neat idea. Updating the thing, it says, next says, from now on, no longer tell you to move the activation tokens on the horde room unless a particular situation on. Keep in mind for each time spent, the activation moves by 1 sector. So now they're going to kind of like walk you through the rest of it, but they're going to drop the part where they're telling you to do stuff. Now it's going to explain how these locations work and what you can do there. But hey, we're still going to tell you to exactly do these tests, and we can see how those work with other things. And then it does go to the thing that says, it's time for you to take control of the game. So now we're at this point where now it's like, okay, a little bit left to do. We've already defeated the enemies, we've gotten into this house, and we're starting to do this. We're going to let you take the last couple of turns yourself. It says you should be able to finish a mission on your own. Keep it handy. Now you'll find below you'll find out how to manually manage the eventuality of a hero being knocked out. Some of the rules of play after prologue. When addition, a player from each hero gets 1 XP completed. So we have, that kind of explains how to draft missions, objective of missions, how KO and heroes works. And then the mission complete after reading what you get. And then you get various other stuff. So take the 1 obtained by the first skill for the hero. Now choose a skill with a maximum 1 cost from eligibility, your basic skill sheet. Keep track of your progression. You also take all equipment provided. The prototype items with the white draping in the background. Find regiments to create the equipment if you have enough. Congratulations, you finished the prog. And then they have the plot book back there for all of that stuff as well. But no, I thought that was a really cool way to like teach the game, where it's literally telling you what to do specifically. Nothing against the one from the actual book. That's how most games teach you how to play a game, right? They're like, roll the dice, see what happens, do this. But then you have all that, I'm not sure. Reading this, just even if you don't physically put all the stuff down and play the game and follow along, you might want to do that for visual, might help you. I thought this was a really great way to just be able to walk through the game and know how everything worked. Okay, now I get specifically, if I get these guys, I get why I needed 3 there, why that triggered, how the movement works. I'm moving here. You know, it walks you through, I think, a little bit better than the tutorial, which is trying to be more open. But it's still definitely a fun idea. So if you're looking for something, again, you could pick this magazine up through their store. And if you're just interested, if you just pick this up, you can read how that's played. And then you have an idea of what you're doing in the game. Again, like I picked it up before I got it, so I already had a basic understanding of how the game was played. Because again, we just looked through this entire kind of looked through the rule book and the tutorial in this video, and there is still a lot to understand. And again, we're gonna have to go through each and every individual card and ability, kind of one at a time, which is why it's gonna take several videos. Again, not complicated, but complex. There's a lot going on. But once you kind of start understanding how each individual thing works, it makes more sense, and then you can kind of flow through it. It's like anything. You learn step 1, 2, 3, 4. You can probably just skip through having to like stop and look at any of them. You just know, okay, I'm playing as this character attack. I do this, and you're done. You don't have to. it just takes longer to learn all that stuff. Cool. So that's what we have for Nova Aetas Renaissance video part 2, where we went through that. Come back for part 3. We are going to start going through the characters and their hero sheets and all that. See you guys there. Bye.